Our last talk for the evening, Chuck O'Dale is going to talk to you about the Upheaval Dome crater.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank Dan. He just reminded me the perihelion on January 3rd. Well, 46 years ago on the perihelion, I joined the Navy. A coincidence? I think not. Yes, time is very important in the Navy. I'll put it that way. I found that out. Yes. A bit of just a question. Anybody here seen the one of the latest James Bond movies, The Quantum of Solace? Yeah. Okay. Here's after the compulsory romantic scene. They're always panned to the moon. Did anybody notice? Now, be honest about this. How many people noticed that the Terminator on the moon was cockeyed? You see, you have to be a geek to watch a James Bond movie and find an astronomy error. Okay, let's see if we can figure this out. Which one was go?
The right button. Let's go.
Okay. Okay, so my nice little entry. Thanks, Brian. I love this. I love that. That's my chariot, and that's where I go to find various things. So tonight I'm going to speak about the Upheaval Dome. It is a very unique crater, has a history to it, and it's situated right down there in Utah. I flew over it just after I flew over the Beringer and the Grand Canyon, and I actually rafted down the Grand Canyon that trip. That was a good one. So, why am I showing you Pingualuit? Well, first of all, I want to brag. Hey, Eric? That was a trip of a lifetime. But why am I showing that picture? Well, the Upheaval Dome and Pingualuit are very, very similar in the fact that Pingualuit, the old Chubb New Quebec crater, it very obviously is an impact crater, but there was no empirical evidence up until the 1950s to prove beyond a doubt that, yes, this was caused by an impact. There was a lot of hypotheses before this, kimberlites, volcanoes, and so on. But it wasn't until the 1950s that it was, in fact, proven that it was an impact. And where Eric and I were standing, we're right there during that picture. That was kind of a cool crater, wasn't it?
One of a kind.
So that's the Upheaval Dome. And again, like the Pingualuit, it looks obvious. Yes, it is an impact, but no empirical evidence. Well, it was a year and a half ago where they finally found the evidence that, in fact, showed that this is, in fact, an impact. How old was it? Well, there's no, how should I say, precise measurements because there's no impact melts that they can do potassium argon dating as yet. But with the geological erosion around it, they suspect it's around about 170 million years old. And it was kind of a wake-up call for the dinosaurs because if they had stopped running around eating each other and developed a space program, they wouldn't have been zapped at the KT boundary. But no, they wouldn't listen. So, yeah, Jurassic. Yeah, there's a few life forms running around at that time. So, what exactly was it like? Well, let's see. Here we go. There's about this much erosion over the crater right now, and that was the basis of the aging of this crater. What is remaining of it? You have to imagine the crater rim about here and the central peak about this high before erosion. The geology around it is very similar to the Beringer crater just to the south and to the Grand Canyon itself. I love this picture, but the shale and the strata around this crater are only exposed at this point. And here I am flying around the little baby. It was a great flight. But I have to say that I'm extremely lucky to get these pictures because flying, as we all know, the only thing keeping an airplane in the air is money. and the money that puts the gas in the tank. And if you have to be very, very, how should I say, precise in your source and destination estimates. And so I had X amount of time to fly around this crater, and just luck as it was, there was a major thunderstorm just around it. So you can see the edge of it just off to the south there. It was coming in, and I was very fortunate to get a couple of orbits around it. The evidence that was found to prove beyond a doubt that yes, this was an impact was right at that red dot there where they found planar deformation features. And I'll explain that in just a second. So as I orbit it, you can actually see this is the central peak area. And again, the central peak. You can see the geology here is just very similar to the Grand Canyon. And you can see that thunderstorm back there. I was very fortunate to get in there. To the south. And coming into the east. And flying right over the central peak itself. Now that's 250 meters high. It's hard to imagine, but after the impact, the area around it was expulsed by the explosion, but it's very, very unstable. So of course what you get is slumping around the edges of the crater, and as it slumps down, the walls are coming back into the crater, which forces the center up. And so there's a fact of a rebound from the impact explosion, plus the slumping, and this causes the central peak. It's quite a fascinating project, or a process to actually analyze what happens during an impact. And the planar deformation feature itself, these are only caused by a major impact. I should say, I'll give you some numbers here. I think it's around 10,000. Just give me a second. Yeah, over. Greater than 10,000 atmospheres was the pressure that would cause this. Now, this is a quartz, and the only process would cause a piece of quartz to fracture or deform like this is an impact of that size or a nuclear explosion. So we can pretty well eliminate a nuclear explosion 170 million years ago, since the dinosaurs ignored science and just carried on with their ways. So this was the proof of this crater. So again, this is one of my kind of a cool sites. And just a couple of tourist pictures. This is the Colorado River, the brown one, and the Green River, obviously. This is where they meet just north of the Grand Canyon. But you can see the geology there is just fascinating. I could have spent hours, of course, time being the essence in an airplane. I couldn't stay that long. But I just love the geology there. It was just fascinating. It just went on and on forever and ever and ever. And I'm going to conclude, again, another personal project. I had a genome analysis done on me. And believe it or not, through this project, I found out who my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather is. And believe it or not, I have an image of him. So, do you have to say that? But anyway, that's me and my hobby. Thanks very much.
Thank you, John.